to everyone. To our Marina Administrator, Deputy Administrators, Directors, distinguished guests, stakeholders, and to all our participants, once again, good morning. Welcome to our Marine Environment Protection Forum with the theme Green Maritime Philippines Protect and Conserve. Last August 27, most of you joined us in the first leg of our Marine Environment Protection Forum. And today we will now be having the forum proper of this remarkable event. In our pre-forum, we have identified major marine environment issues and challenges in the domestic shipping sector. We have also promoted the marine environment protection, particularly its biodiversity and the sustainable use of marine and coastal resources to minimize pollution in the ocean and its adverse effects on human health. And for our forum proper today, let us ask our Heavenly Father for a divine intervention through the invocation to be led by Marina Overseas Shipping Service OIC Director, Ms. Priscilla Hara, to be followed by the singing of the Philippine National Anthem.
Thank you. May I request everybody, let us put ourselves in the holy presence of our Almighty Father. We acknowledge your omnipotence and omnipresence as we are gathered this morning as one maritime community. As we come to your holy throne of grace, we ask for your guidance and blessing for this forum. May you anoint all of us as we do our work for our country's maritime industry. May we take this as a privilege to serve you and an opportunity to do our share and make a difference for the industry. Lord, bless the works of our hands and establish them according to your perfect will as we put you first in all the things that we do. Bless us with hope, courage, and wisdom to overcome all our challenges and still in our hearts to work with unity, love, and compassion for the good purpose of the industry, especially on maritime environment issues. Father God, I declare in the mighty name of Jesus that this undertaking will be a start of a strengthened collaboration among the government, non-government organizations, and the private stakeholders. I also declare that the strategies and plans will be successfully implemented in the protection and conservation of the maritime environment. Finally, declaring that your will and purpose be done, that your abounding grace will flow and victory for this purpose. Thank you, Lord. We give you back all the highest praises, glory, and honor. This we pray in the powerful name of our Lord Jesus. Amen.
Bayang magiliw, prelas ng silanganan, alab ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulupig, di ka pasisiin. Sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mong bughaw, may dilagang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang kislap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagniningning. Ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magdidilim. Lupa ng araw ng luwalhati't pagsinta, buhay ay langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya na pag may mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
And like on all occasions, we open our event with the words from our gracious host. Let us give a warm welcome to the captain of the Marina ship, Marina Administrator Vice Admiral Robert A.M. Pedral.
Thank you very much, Eva. First of all, I'd like to greet the Deputy Administrator for Operations, Engineer Net Dinopol, our Executive Director of STCW Office, Vice Admiral Rene Medina, our very own Assistant Secretary for Maritime, Vice Admiral Narciso Ivinson Jr., sir. Of course, a good friend of ours from the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, Undersecretary for Solid Waste Management and Local Government Units Concerned, Undersecretary Benny D. Antiporda, sir. Thank you for joining us. Of course, our very good host, Engineer Mon Hernandez. Friends from other agencies of government, our stakeholders, personnel of the Maritime Industry Authority, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. First of all, I'd like to express my gratitude to our very own Department Transportation Secretary Artur Pitugadi for sharing with us of course, Undersecretary Antiporda and Assistant Secretary Vinson for accepting our invitation despite their hectic schedules to present with us the programs of the both departments. Also, I'd like to take this opportunity to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our resource persons from the pre-forum held on August 27. Please allow me to mention their name one by one. OIC Director of OSS, Priscilla Hara, Miss Diana Factuar, Miss Nadine Bresaman, Captain Proceso Fernandez, Attorney Maria Hisham de los Santos of the PPA, Engineer Nina Lisa Escorial of the OST, Miss Sandy Recabar of the Climate Change Commission, and Miss Armida Andres of DENR Biodiversity. Good morning again to everyone. First, I'd like to start with a passage from the Bible, and says, God blessed them, and God said them to be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it and have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the birds of the heavens and over every living things that moves on the earth. What God meant for us is to subdue, means to rule over or to tend or to take care of the earth and everything that is in it. Take care of the sea so that living things under it will be sustainable to provide livelihood and the food that we eat. So a sea that is filled with oil will destroy the environment and kill all the living things under it. So we, the human beings, are given the authority to control and rule over the earth, the waters on it, take care of it, so that we'll have a very sustainable maritime environment for the benefits of our country. That said, we are here because we have shared understanding of that responsibility to protect and conserve not only the marine environment, but also the lives of individuals who are vulnerable to the effects of the practices in the shipping sectors. The Philippine harbors more than 3,000 fish species, about 731 of which are considered commercially important, and 60% of the Philippine population is situated along the coastline. So we should take care of our maritime environment. Also today, land-based and ship-based pollutants and other marine debris threaten coastal habitats and marine ecosystems. Increasing acidification is damaging marine life and hampering the ocean's role in moderating climate change. Extreme sea level rises that used to happen once per century could occur every year by mid-century in many regions. Recent study shows this will continue to happen faster than expected and with more catastrophic consequences than was previously estimated. Look at the Manila Bay alone. So as we go along and expand our industry, we should also commit ourselves to achieving the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals in the maritime industry, including ensuring clear air, protecting marine and coastal ecosystems from pollution, and making our planet Earth a better place by the year 2030. The Maritime Industry Authority facilitated the accession and implementation of 3 important IMO conventions on anti-fouling system, ballast water management, and MARPOL. The instrument of accession for these 3 IMO conventions were deposited to the Secretary General of the IMO last 2018. And we were able to issue corresponding memorandum circulars to implement the said convention for our Philippine registered vessels. Later in the day, our very own Assistant Secretary Narciso Vinson Jr. will lay out the concrete action of the Department of Transportation toward achieving our goal of green maritime Philippines. Also further, Undersecretary Antiporda of the Department of Natural Resources will enlighten us on the importance and beauty of the marine species that coexist with us in this vast, diverse planet. Let me remind everyone that the mission of the Maritime Industry Authority is to lead a progressive administration for safer people, safer ships, and cleaner environment. With that, ladies and gentlemen, the purpose of this Marine Environment Protection Forum is to establish a unified goal among government agencies and private sector towards the development and implementation of the marine environment strategy of the Philippines. That said, I hope that by the end of this forum, we will arrive at a sustainable yet viable plan for the marine environment of our maritime nation, Philippines. Together, we can do 100-fold for a better and progressive Philippines. Again, maraming salamat sa ating lahat and mag-ingat po tayo sa COVID-19. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vice Admiral Robert M. Pedral. So one of the main purposes of this exceptional event is to actually develop a marine environment strategy framework for the Philippines in coordination with the concerned government agencies and private stakeholders. So to give us a clearer point of view of this vision, here's a video presentation of the Philippine Marine Environment Green Maritime Philippines. Let us all watch this.
Sea transport in the Philippines is a major contributor to the economy, as it is responsible for the transfer of people, goods, and services across 7,600 islands making up the archipelago. This major feat would not be possible without the shipbuilding and ship repair sector in the country. In 2019 alone, Philippine shipbuilders were responsible for a total of 738,061 gross tons worth of large and small ships, used for domestic shipping and export. While in the same year, aside from China, Korea, Japan, and Europe, the Philippines remained a global leader in the shipbuilding group, amassing a total of 41.4% of the total order book in the rest of the world shipbuilding group. The Maritime Industry Authority, or the MARINA, recognizes the importance of the Philippine shipbuilding and ship repair industry and continues to publish the necessary issuances to address the several industry-specific concerns. The MARINA is also geared towards maintaining the country's place as a maritime hub for the construction of safe, functional, and environmentally friendly ships. One of the most pressing issues that the nation continues to address is the development of a greener shipbuilding industry, as a response to the worsening marine pollution present in our seas. The MARINA is also at the forefront of the integration of international maritime instruments into the Philippines' maritime policies in areas of ship design and construction, ship maintenance, maritime safety, and marine environment protection. It has also partnered with the Philippines Department of Science and Technology for research and development activities in maritime transport. The cooperation has resulted in the study for the development of energy-efficient water transport technologies, sources of renewable energy, intelligent transport systems, and other new and emerging innovations for the maritime transport sector. Several circulars have also been drafted by the MARINA as steps towards a more sustainable shipbuilding and ship repair industry. These regulations also aim to protect and preserve natural resources in the country. In 2018, the Philippines ratified Annex 6 of the MARPOL Convention. The main purpose of this convention is to limit the air pollutants released by ships, including sulfur oxides and ozone-depleting substances. The final phase of its implementation, now known as the IMO 2020, sets the cap of the sulfur content of ships' fuel oil to 0.5%, a figure significantly lower than the previous 3.5%. As a party to the Annex 6 of the MARPOL Convention, the Philippines formulated a comprehensive circular that outlines the responsibility of ship owners to regulate the emissions of seagoing vessels in the domestic and overseas trades. The protection of marine resources is also one of the agency's central concerns in maintaining sustainable shipbuilding and ship repair practices. In a recently issued circular, MC number SR 2020-05 rules and regulations were laid out for the control and management of ships' ballast water and sediments and compliance to ballast water management, or the BWM. The MARINA also issued a circular, MC number SR 2020-04, that is designed to regulate the application of anti-fouling paints and systems in ships in compliance to the International Convention on the Control of Harmful Anti-Fouling Systems in Ships, or the AFS Convention. The MARINA believes that the marine environment should not serve as collateral damage to the expansion of shipping services. With the boom of the shipbuilding and ship repair industry in the country comes with it the production of waste materials. Acknowledging the risk of pollution from sewer discharge from ships and scraps from shipbreaking activities, the MARINA has issued several relevant advisories. MC number SR 2020-02, Rules and Regulations on the Construction of Tank and Installation of Equipment to Collect, Store, and Treat Sewage from Ships in Compliance with Annex 4 of MARPOL 7378, as amended. MC number SR 2020-01, Rules and Regulations relating to registration and licensing of shipbreaking or ship recycling facilities and for other purposes. Consistent with Philippine laws and international standards, these policies oblige ship owners and operators to undertake necessary steps to reduce the environmental, health, and safety risks arising from the dumping of ship sewage water and recycling of ship scraps. The Philippines is greatly blessed for being an archipelagic country and for having a maritime workforce that is widely recognized abroad. In recent years, there have been several remarkable shipbuilding accomplishments, all thanks to skilled Filipino workers in the industry. Being a competitive player in the global shipbuilding market is not only a recognition but also a challenge. And with the MARINA's strategic plans, a greener future awaits.
That is a very strong and inspiring take on the wonders and, of course, our responsibility to really protect and conserve this God given gift of the Philippines maritime environment. At this juncture, let us all be primed for today's event as we are enlightened to the overview and objectives of the MEP Forum to be presented to us by Marina Director 2 of SRS and MSS Engineer Ramon C. Hernandez.
Thank you very much, Eva. Do you hear me? Okay. So, Secretary Tugade, Yusek Antiporda, ASEC Vingson, and also Administrator Empedrad. Sir, To our distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On behalf of the Maritime Industry Authority, I shall be presenting the overview and objectives of this Marine Environment Protection Forum. As part of our celebration of the Maritime and Archipelagic Nation Awareness Month, or the MANAMO, the Maritime Industry Authority proposed to conduct an activity relating to marine environment protection and decided to hold this Marine Environment Protection Forum into two parts via webinar. One is the pre-forum and the other one is the forum proper, which is this one. This forum, with the theme Green Maritime Philippines Protect and Conserve, shall also be part of our celebration of the 2021 National Maritime Week. This forum intends to facilitate knowledge exchange and capacity building across maritime agencies and other concerned stakeholders about marine environment protection, that specifically aims to discuss the marine environment issues and challenges in the Philippine shipping sector, establish a common understanding of these issues, and establish a unified goal among the government and private sector. We decided to conduct a pre-forum to meet and discuss first with the concerned stakeholders the following, such as the identification of major maritime environment protection issues and concerns in the country's shipping sector, promotion of awareness on the effects of marine environment pollution to wildlife and communities and the importance of addressing this effect, in identification of strategy in addressing these issues and concerns, drafting of action plan that will turn our marine environment strategies to reality, prioritization of marine environment protection programs in the Maritime Industry Development Program, and implementation of the plans and programs on marine environment protection. This recently conducted pre-forum was structured in four parts: the opening, the marine environment protection related presentations, the workshop, and closing. During the presentation, resource speakers from identified agencies shared and presented their topics relating to marine environment protection, such as biofouling management and invasive aquatic species, reducing maritime transport emissions, Coast Guard actions for marine environment, green port initiatives, R&D project on marine environment protection, policies and measures on climate change and the marine environment, and the DENR plans and programs on marine environment. We were able to gain insights and get inputs for our strategic action plans, which will be presented today to you later. Then followed by a closing of the pre-forum. On the screen are some of the identified major threats to our marine environment, and some of you already know, such as the ocean dumping, land runoff, dredging, NOx and SOx emission, ocean acidification, seawater level rising, ozone depleting substances, waste pollution from ships, carriage of harmful substances by ships, invasive species, noise pollution from ships, oil spills, and plastic pollution, among others. Looking at these threats, these are all results of various human activities. It's a big challenge for us to mitigate the effects of this pollution to marine environment. If we still care for our ocean, we believe that it is not yet too late for us to address these challenges. We just need to cooperate and work hand in hand by taking a whole of sector approach in addressing these issues and challenges. Actually, we have already guides and references on dealing and addressing these threats, such as relevant IMO conventions and other instruments. We only need to understand these conventions and instruments and relate it into our respective mandates to come up with a cross table of responsibility, clearly defining our cross-functional roles and responsibilities in implementation of these conventions and instruments as a team. On the screen are the key goals derived from the pre-forum workshop, such as to reduce marine solid and liquid waste generated from all types of ships, to gain greater control over future marine and maritime environment protection, development, and strengthen skills, knowledge, and resources, to reduce air pollution from maritime transport sector, to mitigate green gases from marine sector that contributes to climate change, to adapt to its possible effects of climate change, to conserve biodiversity, to reduce and manage the possible transfer of invasive species, to develop and adopt technologies for ballast water management, to control and prevent oil pollution from ships, to enhance mechanism on control, monitoring, and enforcement of the carriage of dangerous goods in bulk and package form, to sustain research and development, providing innovative solutions for marine environment protection and leading the growth of the blue economy, to create an interagency working group for Green Maritime Philippines, and to actively participate to IMO technical cooperation activities on marine environment protection. In drafting this action plan, we consider the key components of the strategy that relates to legislation, institutional arrangements, capacity building, stakeholders engagement, research technology and infrastructure development, information and resource sharing, compliance monitoring, enforcement mechanism, and sustainable financing mechanism. Today, we will be having our forum proper. And for this forum, we aim to express views on different marine environment issues and concerns, to agree on addressing the issues and its causes to protect and improve the state of the marine environment of the country, to establish a unified goal among the government and the private sector for the development and subsequent implementation of the marine environment strategies of the Philippines, and to make firm commitments to support the plans and programs for the protection and conservation of the marine environment of the country. So today po, this momentous forum will have 4 parts. The welcome, which was delivered to us by our dear Marina Administrator, Vice Admiral Empetrad. Then we'll be having 2 resource speakers from the DOTR, and ASEC Vinson, and DENR USEC Antiporda. And then we will be presenting to you the 10-point strategy plan on Green Maritime Philippines Preserve and Conserve, as well as the draft manifesto. And then later on, we'll be hearing an inspirational message from our Secretary of Transportation. So with that, thank you very much for joining us here today. And I now give back the floor to our MC, Eva. Thank you po.
Thank you so much, Director Mon. And now, as we begin our forum proper for the second part of our program, to introduce to us our resource speakers, let me give the floor to our moderator, Mr. Anthony Alcazar.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Anthony Alcazar from the Overseas Shipping Marina. To our administrator, Vice Admiral Roberto Empedrad, good morning, sir. To Ma'am Nanette Dinopol, our ODAW, to Attorney Jean, to our directors, to our regional offices directors, welcome. To our maritime stakeholders, our guests, different government agency, good morning. Our first speaker, after graduating with PMA Sandiwa class of 1985, started his duty and commissioned in the Philippine Navy, where he served a various key positions that propelled him in a wider and deeper appreciation of staff function role. As a naval warfare officer, he underwent training courses in the United States in anti-submarine warfare, amphibious warfare, naval gunfire operation, and combat information center operation. He also pursued higher education at Naval Postgraduate School at Monterey, earning a degree of Master of Science in System Engineering. While in his junior years, served as a branch chief of Office of Naval Staff for Personnel Operation, Weapons and Communication, Electronics and Information System. He also served as an administrative officer at the Office of the Flag Officer in Command of the Philippine Navy, and later designated Education Training Officer at the Naval Education Training Center prior to his assignment as a principal staff for the personnel for the Philippine Fleet. Furthermore, while he was in the Navy, he was considered as a sea dog. Why? Because he commanded 3 commissioned Philippine vessels, a patrol boat, the BRP Alberto Navarrete, a patrol craft escort, BRP Iloilo, and the presidential yacht, BRP Ang Pangulo. After a challenging yet fulfilling life at the sea, our first speaker, Vice Admiral Narciso A. Bingson, took a higher responsibility in the Navy hierarchy, as he was chosen to be the primary staff for personnel at the headquarters of the Philippine Navy. It was during this assignment, he crafted the Philippine Navy Human Capital Strategy, an innovative approach to producing a highly competent, motivated professional for the naval service. In 2013, he was designated as a Deputy Commander of the Naval Education and Training Command, NETC, where he earned his first star, and 3 years later, he returned to that school or training as a commander and gained his second star. He also commanded the Silip Amphibious Command in 2014 and became the Deputy Commander of the Philippine Fleet in 2015. After having been the naval service for 31 glorious years, Vice Admiral Narciso A. Bingson was assigned to the General Headquarters of the Armed Forces of the Philippines and was designated as Inspector General on December 2016. Shortly thereafter, he rose to his current position where he earned his third star. A month after being the Inspector General, he was designated on January 2017 as the 73rd Deputy Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, a chief strategist, and a policymaker of military. Before his designation as the Marina Administrator, he was before then appointed by our President Duterte, as the new Executive Director for STW on October 15, 2018, and took his office and oath at the weekly flag ceremony of Marina Central Office on October 22, 2018. Colleagues, maritime stakeholder, guests, attendees, participants, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you DOTR Assistant Secretary for Maritime, Vice Admiral Narciso A. Bingson Jr. Good morning, Admiral Bingson.
Thank you, Bong, for a very kind introduction of myself. Anyway, I would like to thank the Marina Administrator, Vice Admiral Bobby Pidrad, for inviting me to this very important forum. And good morning, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues in the government and partners in the maritime sectors. It is a pleasure to join you in this Marine Environment Protection Forum hosted by the Maritime Industry Authority as one of our department's key activities for this year's Maritime Archipelagic National Awareness Month, or the MANAMO. This is truly a meaningful avenue to discuss the current efforts of the national government in promoting the green maritime Philippines, especially with the support of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources through Undersecretary Benny Antiborda as my fellow resource speaker. On the part of the DOTR, allow me to give an overview of the efforts the maritime transport sector in promoting green maritime Philippines. In this presentation, I shall give an overview of the department's green transport vision. I shall also briefly discuss our efforts in achieving the DOTR's vision through the fulfillment of sectors' marine environment responsibilities both at the global and national levels. By 2023-2030, it is the vision of our Department of Transportation to become a world-class organization that provides seamless and increased connectivity with the rest of the world, while responding to the needs of an environmentally sustainable and globally competitive transport. This strategic direction set by the department is being fulfilled by the 4 transport sectors: maritime, aviation, railways, and road sectors through its different attached agencies. For the purpose of today's discussion, allow me to zero in to the efforts of the maritime sector composing of the Philippine Ports Authority, Cebu Ports Authority, the Philippine Coast Guard, and today's host, the Maritime Industry Authority. Through these 4 attached agencies, the maritime sector is focused not only on promoting the competitiveness of our ports, shipping and seafaring industries. It is also giving significant importance in ensuring the department's goal of providing environmentally sustainable maritime transport to the nation. This is done through the promotion of green and sustainable ports nationwide through our ports authorities, the regulation of environmentally compliant ships through the MARINA, and the enforcement of national policies on maritime environment through our Philippine Coast Guard. In the course of the fulfillment of our mandates, we are confronted with the following most environmentally challenges in shipping: water waste, wastewater, transfer of invasive species, oil spill, emissions, and solid waste. Your maritime sector has been working to strengthen its capacity and capabilities to prevent, mitigate, and respond to these challenges being faced both in the Philippines and international waters. One of our lines of effort is fulfillment of global maritime environment responsibilities through active participation in the different international projects, programs, and fora organized for the same purpose. Allow me to name a few. The department, along with its maritime sector, has been participating in the Globe Fouling Partnership Project to hone our capacity in the implementation of IMO biofouling, in other relevant guidelines for biofouling management, and in the reduction of GHG emissions from global shipping. Relatedly, the department supports the Global Maritime Energy Efficiency Partnership Project, or the GLOMIP, which is also targeted on the uptake and implementation of energy efficiency measures for the reduction of GHG from shipping. This is done through reforms, capacity building activities, information campaigns, and public-private partnerships. Another continuing engagement is our capacity building activities on the conservation and sustainable use of marine and coastal areas under the Blues Solutions Project. Important issues discussed in this venue includes marine spatial planning and integrated coastal zone management, adaptation to climate change in coastal areas, and the integration of ecosystem services into planning processes. Fourth project is the Marine Environment Protection of the Southeast Asian Seas, or the MEPSES, wherein the 4 agencies under this sector support various activities on the reduction of the risk and impacts of environmental issues related to marine transport in the ASEAN region. Through MEPSIS, we take part in the global efforts under the UN Sustainable Development Goal 14 on the conservation and sustainable use of the oceans, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development. The department joins the government agencies in fulfillment of its joint international maritime obligation through the Interagency Cooperation Committee on the Ratification and Implementation of Maritime Convention, or the ICRIMC, and the Multi-Sectoral Advisory Group of the IMO Concerns, or the MAGIC. These working groups also composed of different agencies that share with us mandates related to maritime safety and marine environmental protection. In connection with the sector's international obligations, our second line of efforts is focused on the localization of green marine policies through the implementation of national programs and initiatives of the MARINA, PPA, and PCG. Allow me to present some of them. MARINA's policies, programs, and initiatives are centered on the translation of international convention into national policies, such as the Hong Kong International Convention for the Safe and Environmentally Sound Recycling of Ships, localized through MARINA Memo Circular Number SR 2020-01. MARPOL 73/78 Annex 4, Prevention of Pollution by Sewage from Ships, adopted through MC number SR-2020-02. International Convention on Control of Harmful Anti-Fouling Systems in Ships, or the EFS Convention, adopted through MC number SR-2020-04. And lastly, the International Convention for the Control and Management of Ships' Ballast Waters and Sediments, which is adopted through MC SR 2020-05. With the implementation of these memorandum circulars, we are able to align our national policies on marine environment with that of the international practices, thereby boosting the global competitiveness of the maritime transport while ensuring that our ships are environmentally sustainable. On the part of PPA, its green port initiatives are guided under the PPA Port Environmental Policy, or the PEP, on the implementation of measures on climate change adaptation, climate change proofing, and disaster management in our ports nationwide. A part of its initiative is providing capacity building programs to our port stakeholders on environmental protection and adoption of technologically advanced and innovations for green efficiency. And last but not the least, aside from maritime safety and security, our Philippine Coast Guard are also working on its duties to protect the marine environment. One of its efforts is to strengthen the organization's capability to combat oil pollution through enhanced response operations during oil spill incidents, conduct of water sampling and laboratory analysis, and increase information dissemination. Meanwhile, PCG's Project Mapabol aims to ensure clean waters and healthier communities through the development and deployment of an integrated system for mapping and water quality monitoring using geospatial technologies and citizen science. Lastly, we all know that our Philippine Coast Guard personnel are very active during interagency coastal cleanup activities to mitigate adverse effects of the solid waste pollution. In fact, they will be conducting a National Coastal Cleanup Day on September 25 as part of our Manamo 2021 celebration. Allow me to take this opportunity to seek the support of everyone to this activity. As you have seen, the DOTR, MARINA, PPA and CPA, and the Philippine Coast Guard are all working hand in hand towards promoting a green maritime transport in the Philippines. While we are working triple in the developing and maximizing the benefits of maritime transport in our archipelagic country, we remain cognizant of the importance of protecting our marine environment so that this opportunity will remain available to the future generations. I hope that our stakeholders present will continue to support and join us in our maritime programs initiatives. For together, we can achieve the DOTR's vision to provide an environmentally sustainable and globally competitive transport for the Filipino people. This ends my presentation. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Vice Admiral Narciso Bingson, for that wonderful and very informative action coming from your office, which include the cooperation between MARINA, PCG, PPA, with respect to our efforts under the IMO, which include the MEPSIS, Glow Fouling, ICRIMS, and MAGIC. And thank you for also, Vice Admiral, for providing us that the Philippine Coast Guard will have a National Cleanup Day on September 25. Thank you, Admiral. Thank you for coming. Maraming salamat po. Ladies and gentlemen, it is our next second speaker for today is from the Department of Environmental and Natural Resources. It's my honor to present to you our next guest speaker for today. Coming from the world of media and still practicing journalist, where he still writes the column in the daily tabloid Remate and website www.remate.ph. He is a press freedom fighter and a former president of the National Press Club of the Philippines. In 2006, he became a public servant who served as an anti-drug advocate under the office of the President, Malacanang Palace. He then became the Presidential Anti-Smuggling Group, Special Operation Group, or PASG chief, and subsequently promoted and became the director of the Strategic Information Service, which is the counterintelligence office of the PASG. After his government service under the presidency of President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, he went back again to the National Press Club, where he was then again elected as a president serving his second term. Subsequently, he was also elected as a president of the Confederation of Asian Journalists that hold office in Jakarta, Indonesia. After the 2016 election, our speaker was called into a government service yet again by our president, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, where he was appointed director of the Subic Bay Metropolitan Authority. Finding the task of being director in the SBM is not that challenging, wherein there is a privilege of extra time, he started to become active again in the Lions Club International, and now the immediate past district governor of LCI District 301, surprisingly, he was transferred to another government agency, which is the Department of Environmental and Natural Resources, and appointed an undersecretary. He was, ladies and gentlemen, he was given the task of leading the office of the Undersecretary for Solid Waste Management, Local Government Unit Concern, alternate chair of the National Solid Waste and Management Commission, Strategic Communication Initiative Service, Hotline 888, DENR Task Force Tayo ang Kalikasan, DENR Deputy Spokesperson of the DENR, Manila Bay Anti-Pollution Task Force, and now the head of the KBT Cluster Task Force. Ladies and gentlemen, guest speaker, may I present to you, dubbed as Pambansang Basurero ng Pilipinas, Undersecretary for Solid Waste Management and Local Government Units, Yusek Benny Diaz Antiporda.
Thank you, Sir Bong, for the introduction. Secretary Art Tugade, sir. ASEC Vice Admiral Narciso Bingson Jr., Rear Admiral Doy Punsalan, and of course, my very, very good friend, Administrator Vice Admiral Robert M. Pedrad, the maritime stakeholders, and of course, our brothers and sisters in the government service. Magandang umaga po. Thank you for inviting the Department of Environment and Natural Resources to this Marine Environment Protection Forum, the theme of which, Green Maritime Philippines, Protect and Conserve, is squarely within our mandate. Specifically, I was asked as DENR Undersecretary for Solid Waste Management and Local Government Units Concerns to talk on the DENR Sustainable Development on Life Below Water. In the past administrations, relatively little attention was given by the national government to marine life below the surface of the water. While it is true that we have declared marine protected areas dating back to the early 1970s, protection was largely limited to the regulation of fishing, with little done against pollution. That attitude changed dramatically in early 2018 when our President, Rodrigo Roa Duterte, deplored the deterioration of Boracay Island's beaches into a cesspool. As a result of untreated sewage being released directly into the sea through underground pipes. That meant that domestic and foreign tourists were literally swimming in a marine version of a septic tank. And so President Duterte created the Boracay Interagency Task Force headed by the DENR to rehabilitate Boracay's environment, which was badly damaged by 3 decades of haphazard development in the rush for tourism profits. For 6 months in 2018, Boracay was closed to tourism, while the task force required the establishment of sewage treatment facilities and the connection thereto of establishments and addressed the pile-up of solid waste in open dump sites in wetlands and other violations of environmental laws. In January 2019, the President prioritized the cleanup and rehabilitation of Manila Bay, which already looked and smelled like garbage, despite the Supreme Court's December 2008 order or writ of continuing mandamus to clean it and restore it to its historic glory. Manila Bay today indisputably looks and smells a great deal better than it did 2 or more years ago, even if the rehabilitation activities of the Manila Bay Task Force, again led by the DENR, are still ongoing. The work will take several years because of the magnitude of the job and the number of local government units involved. Cleaning up the bay cannot be done in the bay alone. We have to backtrack to the island sources or the inland sources of pollution, the rivers, esteros, and drainage systems that carry solid and liquid waste into the bay. Our threefold rehabilitation philosophy is simple and sensible. First, to see is to believe. There should be no floating debris or marine litter visible to our eyes. Second, to smell is to believe. The sea should not smell foul or stinking, and the sea breeze should instead be refreshing. Third, which is the hardest part of all, to test is to believe. Scientific tests should prove that the most probable number of fecal coliform in the water is 100 or below to make it safe for swimming, fishing, and contact recreation. This rehabilitation philosophy sounds so easy to carry out, but it is not. When we started cleaning up Boracay, people thought that our President and DENR Secretary Roy A. Simatu were crazy because they say it is impossible, but we succeeded. Now, we are cleaning up Manila Bay and we are seeing progress. Who knows? One day, we might end up cleaning the water bodies around the world because people will ask us How did you do it in your country? Fortunately, we have a president with a very strong political will and whose marching orders to clean up Boracay and Manila Bay were vigorously carried out by our battle-hardened Secretary Simatu. Our display of political will in Boracay had an immediate impact on other prime ecotourism destinations like El Nido, Coron in Palawan, and Puerto Galera in Oriental Mindoro, which took the initiative to their own cleanups to make it unnecessary for the national government to step in and take drastic actions to make ecotourism sustainable. Our cleanups of Boracay and Manila Bay indeed provide models for other developing countries of the world to follow. By the way, the Supreme Court, after inspection in November 2020, found our beach nourishment project in Manila Bay, which include the overlaying of dolomite, to be consistent with its order for the cleanup and restoration of the bay, contrary to the assertions of others. In Manila Bay, LGUs and the private sector, along with thousands of volunteers, also rallied behind our cleanup. This made it possible for us to put up a solar-powered sewage treatment plant in the Baywalk area, with more to come elsewhere along the coastline. We truly need the help of all stakeholders because the DENR and the Manila Bay Task Force cannot be everywhere all the time. The people who are in the best position to keep the inland waterways free from solid waste are those residing along the banks of the esteros and rivers. In areas where individual homes lack their own sanitary toilets, we put up portable toilets for community use. We have also relocated a sizable number of informal settlers from esteros in Manila to better resettlement sites. But completing the process for the remaining multitudes of informal settlers, over 200,000 families, will take more years to materialize. We have made very good progress in Boracay and Manila Bay despite the COVID-19 pandemic having slowed us down somewhat because of disruptions in the supply chain and because of health protocols. COVID-19 has also added to our task because of improperly disposed healthcare waste like used face masks, face shields, test kits, and surgical gloves that can end up as marine litters. Some of these healthcare waste might also be infectious, which can contaminate the mainstream of municipal waste. This is why we have prescribed guidelines on the proper disposal of healthcare waste, which are considered hazardous. It might also interest you to know that we have completed the closure of all open dump sites nationwide, a task mandated by law that the past 3 administrations failed to do. This is important because solid waste left out in the open can wash out into waterways and into the seas. What I have presented shows that in its pursuit of sustainable development of life below water, the DENR does not just focus on the seas and the coastline, but necessarily broadens the scope to include inland waterways and the communities along them, including the people who have the habit of discarding their waste anywhere, whose attitude and behavior we must change to make our gains truly sustainable. We also do not limit ourselves to cleaning up visible waste, but go all the way to reducing fecal coliform counts to comply with the health standard fit for swimming, fishing, and recreational purposes. In brief, we want our waters, both topside and below the surface, to look and smell good and to be clean enough for the safety of both aquatic life and people. On this note, we reiterate our thanks to the Department of Transportation and the Maritime Industry Authority, not only for inviting us to this forum, but also for being our partners in the quest for sustainable development. Again, let me extend my wholehearted gratitude to Administrator Vice Admiral Robert Empedrad for his support simula po nung nasa Navy pa siya hanggang mapunta po siya sa Marina ay hindi niya po nakakalimutan na suportahan ang DENR. And rest assured na nandyan rin po lagi ang DENR para suportahan din po ang Marina. Dahil lagi po natin tatandaan, ikaw, ako, tayo ang kalikasan. Kung kaya't pangalagaan po natin ito. Again, magandang umaga po at mabuhay po tayong lahat.
Thank you so much, Director Benny, for that speech po and your presentation. Maraming salamat po. And then I'm very thankful for our two speaker for today, si Vice Admiral Bingson and then si Yusek Benny for gracing us in attending and being our host speaker for today. Thank you so much, sirs. Back to you, Ma'am Eva. Good morning, everyone.
Thank you so much, Sir Bo. So for the continuation of our program, for the part 3 of our program, may we call on Dr. Jinky.
Yes, good morning, Miss Eva. Can you hear me now?
Loud and clear, ma'am.
Okay, magandang umaga po. To the Captain of Marina Ship, Vice Admiral Robert M. Pedrad, our Deputy Administrators for Planning and Operations, Attorney Jean Pia and Engineer Nanette Dinopol, also from the STCW office, Executive Director Vice Admiral Rene Medina, and our DED Captain Jeffrey Solon, our Marina Directors, our distinguished guests, Secretary Tagade, and ASEC Vingson and USEC Antiporda, our partners in the maritime sectors, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. As a starter, let me say that we depend on our marine environment for our survival. They are also essential for our economic prosperity, social well-being, and quality of life. The marine environment is faced with a number of increasingly severe threats, which include the loss or degradation of biodiversity and changes in its structure, loss of habitats, contamination from dangerous substances, and the impacts of climate change. The marine environment is deteriorating fast, and we need to find better ways of managing it. With this in mind, the Maritime Industry Authority spearheaded the pre-forum with the theme Green Maritime Philippines, Protect and Conserve on 27 August 2021. One of the highlights of the said pre-forum is the coming together of a total of 176 key stakeholders who actively participate in identifying maritime safety issues and challenges, as well as recommend for strategies or government interventions to address them. And as a result of that momentous event, let me present the 10-point strategic action plan of the Green Maritime Philippines, Protect and Conserve. Secretary, please. So there you have, ladies and gentlemen, the 10-point strategic action plan. Next, please. Let me read the executive summary. The strategic plan for Green Maritime Philippines Protect and Conserve consists of the following high-level objectives and action steps. Let me start with the objectives. First, develop and contribute to the nationwide solution for preventing marine-related pollution in entering bodies of water through ports, shipyards, and ship-based activities. 2, provide a whole-of-government approach with a mechanism to identify specific outcomes and actions to achieve these outcomes in a way that is meaningful and measurable. Strengthen existing policy and regulatory frameworks by identifying opportunities to enhance these frameworks and introduce a new supporting measures to address the issues of marine and coastal pollution. Our action steps: mobilize a whole nation approach cooperation in protecting, conserving, and managing the marine environment and natural resources for the present and future generations. Next, please. Our vision, mission, and values. Our vision, a sustainable marine ecosystem, resilient and environmentally sustainable waters around, between, and connecting the islands of the archipelago by providing long-term viable and feasible solutions by 2050. Our mission. The maritime stakeholders are dedicated in securing the future of the Philippine territorial waters. We work to advance marine conservation and to further policy and interventions that ensure the long-standing sustainability of marine ecosystems and species. Our values: professionalism and integrity, responsibility, determination, and focus. Here we have the SWOT analysis with the strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. With the strengths, we have the whole government approach, educated manpower and pool of maritime experts, geographic location, natural marine resources, fishing industry, abundance ecosystem resources, Philippines Center of International Sea Transport. With the weaknesses, we have the multi-government sectoral approach, no centralized lead agency, data gathering, research development, enabling law, legislative support implementation, extent of committed support among key decision makers, identification and tapping of national experts, increasing number of aging Philippine vessels. Opportunities, we have the blue economy, interaction with other IMO member state and organization, crossroad of international trade, Philippines as leading partner in IMO projects, abatement in technologies. And the threats: ocean dumping, land runoff, marine dredging, NOx and SOx, ocean acidification, sea water level rising, ozone depleting substances, carriage of harmful substances by ships, waste pollution from ships, invasive marine species, noise pollution from ships, oil spills, plastic pollution, marine plastic litter, or air pollution and greenhouse gases, climate change, increasing number of aging vessels, number of foreign vessels flying within Philippine area of jurisdiction. Next, please. Our strategy. Achieving this target requires several approaches. First, we have the whole of sector approach, an interagency and stakeholders cooperations and work streams focus on data, policy, economic analysis and financing mechanisms, technology, training, research. Coordinated approach on DENR's priority project on marine environment. Whole of country approach, a national strategy that prioritizes long-term capacity building supported by the highest technical quality and research mechanism, must include government, industry, community, NGOs, research and education providers. Here we have our action plan with the outcome, the measures, the lead agency, coordinating agencies, and private sectors. Number 1, reduce marine solid, including marine plastic litter and liquid waste generated from Philippine ships, including fishing vessels, with an indicative timeline up to 2025. Our measures: to implement IMO ship identification number scheme mandatory for all fishing vessels over 25 meters in length. Encourage the ratification of the Cape Town Agreement. Develop policy on record keeping, reporting, and retrieval of fishing gears lost at sea. Identify gaps and needs in the coverage of marine litter management. Strictly implement MARPOL Annexes 1, 2, 4, and 5, which is the Dumping Convention. Lead agency, we have the DOTR, the DA, and the DENR. Our coordinating agencies and private sectors, we have concerned DENR, ROs, Biodiversity Management Bureau, Environmental Management Bureau, Ecosystems Research and Development Bureau, before MARINA, PCG, PEMC, port authorities such as the PPA, CPA, SBMA, the PVDEC, and other port authorities. Maritime stakeholders, the shipping companies, the shipbuilders, the ship repair facilities, schools and the academe, and offshore facilities. Number two, we have to strengthen skills, knowledge, and resources for marine environment protection with indicative timeline 2025. Measures to identify gaps in the implementation of policies such as but not limited to scaling up of coastal and marine ecosystem, biodiversity conservation, solid waste management, intensified environmental protection, intensified environmental protection for clean water, address implementation of the identified issues related to the action plan to address marine pollution through cooperation and capacity building activities. Our lead agencies, the DENR and the DA. Coordinating agencies, private sectors, we have the DFA, the EMB, the National Solid Waste Management Commission, before MARINA, PCG, CCC, PEMC, port authorities including PPA, CPA, SBMA, PVDEC, and other port authorities. We have the maritime stakeholders, shipping companies, shipbuilders, ship repair facilities, schools, and the academy. Next outcome, reduced air pollution from the maritime transport sector. Indicative timeline 2035. Measures implement international instruments regarding reduction of airborne pollution from Philippine ports and shipping sector. Improve energy efficiency of Philippine ports and shipping industry. Promote use of cleaner alternative source of fuel or renewable energy. Develop enabling legislation. Put in place protocols, enforcement, and practices. Conduct of impact assessment research. Development and adoption of innovative technologies. Our lead agency, we have the DOTR, the DOE, and the DENR. Coordinating agencies and private sectors, we have the EMB, the BMB, the MARINA, PCG, PEMC, port authorities including PPA, the CPA, the SBMA, the PVDEC, and other port authorities. Also, the maritime stakeholders including ship companies, the shipbuilders, ship repair facilities, schools, and the academy. Fourth, reduce greenhouse gas emissions from ports and shipping to combat climate change and its impacts. Indicative timeline 2035. Our measures implement international instruments regarding climate change, improve energy efficiency of Philippine ports and shipping industry, and promote low carbon neutral alternative source of energy, develop enabling legislation, put in place protocols, enforcement, and practices, conduct of impact assessment research, development and adoption of innovative technologies, and development of national strategies. In the lead agency, we have the DOTR, the DOE, and the CCC. With the coordinating agencies and private sectors, we have the DENR, the DILG, MARINA, PCG, PEMC, port authorities, PPA, CPA, SBMA, the PVDEC, and other port authorities, and of course, the maritime stakeholders, shipping companies, shipbuilders, ship repair facilities, schools, and academy. Next, we have the conserved biodiversity to reduce and manage the possible transfer of invasive aquatic species through shipping with indicative timeline 2030. Our measures are to implement international instruments regarding ballast water and anti-fouling systems on ships, or the AFS Convention. Develop enabling legislation, put in place protocols, enforcement, and practices. Conduct of impact assessment research. development and adoption of innovative technologies, development of national strategies. The lead agency, we have the DOTR, the DENR, and the BFAR. Coordinating agencies, private sectors, ecosystems, research, and development bureau, the BFAR, the EMB, NAMRIA, MARINA, PCG, PEMC, port authorities, PPA, CPA, SBMA, PVDEC, and other port authorities. We also have the maritime stakeholders, shipping companies, shipbuilders, ship repair facilities, the schools, and the academy. And the sixth, controlled and prevented oil pollution from ships and mitigated its impacts to the marine environment with indicative timeline of 2025. Our measures to implement international instruments regarding related IMO conventions such as the MARPOL 7378 and OPRC Convention, develop enabling legislation, put in place protocols, enforcement and practices, conduct of impact assessment research, development and adoption of innovative technologies, and development of national strategies. Our lead agency, the DOTR. While our coordinating agencies, private sectors include the DOE, the DEA, the DENR, MARINA, BFAR, BMB, PCG, port authorities, PPA, CPA, SBMA, PVDEC, and other port authorities, and of course, our maritime stakeholders, shipping companies, shipbuilders, ship repair facilities, schools, and the academe. Next, enhance mechanism on the control, monitoring, and enforcement of carriage of dangerous goods in bulk and package form, indicative timeline 2030. Our measures implement international instruments regarding IMSBC and IMDG code, develop policies on carriage of dangerous goods, conduct capacity building and training, establish linkage between concerned agencies who are developing and enforcing the policies, develop enabling legislation, put in place protocols, enforcement and practices, conduct of impact assessment research, development and adoption of innovative technologies. Our lead agency, we have the DOTR, the DTI, and the DA. While our coordinating agencies and private sectors include the DENR, the EMB, the DTI, BPS, DA, BAFS, the MARINA, RPC, the PCG, the PEMC, port authorities, PPA, CPA, SBMA, and other port authorities, and of course, our maritime stakeholders, the shipping companies, the shipbuilders, ship repair facilities, the schools, and the academy. Next, we have our outcome, sustained research and development, providing innovative solutions for marine environment, protection, and leading the growth of the blue economy with indicative timeline 2030. Our measures improve data information system, prioritize research and development, create technology and innovation hubs, develop enabling legislation, put in place protocols, enforcement, and practices, conduct of impact assessment research, development and adoption of innovative technologies, development of national strategy. The lead agency, we have the DOTR, the DOST, the DA, and of course, with the coordinating agencies and private sectors, we have the DENR, the BFAR, National Fisheries Research and Development Institute, the MARINA, PCG, PEMC, local government units, port authorities, PPA, CPA, SBMA, and other port authorities, and of course, the maritime stakeholders, shipping companies, shipbuilders, ship repair facilities, schools, and academy. 9, we have our outcome. Created an interagency working group for Green Maritime Philippines. Indicative timeline 2022. Our measures to draft an executive order to create an interagency working group for Green Maritime Philippines. Set timeline and budgetary requirements for the implementation of the identified measures. Our lead agency here, the DENR, the DOTR, and the DAA. while our coordinating agencies and private sectors include the BMB, the EMB, the MARINA, PCG, PEMC, port authorities, PPA, CPA, SBMA, and other port authorities. Our maritime stakeholders, the shipping companies, the shipbuilders, the ship repair facilities, schools, and academia. On the 10th outcome, we have to actively participate to all international maritime organization technical cooperation activities on marine environment with an indicated time. Indicated time of that. First, we have to go to the measures, put in place protocols and practices, development of national strategy with the lead agency, DFA and DOTR. Our coordinating agencies, private sectors, we have the BMB, the EMB, the MARINA, the PCG, the PEMC, the port authorities, PPA, CPA, SBMA, and other port authorities. And then we now move on to the review and evaluation. Achieving this target requires the following. This action plan will be reviewed periodically to ensure that it continues to deliver against the objective and outcomes identified within the plan. Periodic review and evaluation of the plan will facilitate assessing the effectiveness of the actions within the plan, updating the plan with new information and incorporating new actions identified based on the implementation of the action plan or as a result of the new information. The Green Maritime Philippines Interagency Committee will undertake a review of the action plan, that is, assessing the need for updating actions and or incorporating new actions to the plan. Semi-annually, and a comprehensive review assessing the effectiveness of the actions within the plan against the objective and outcomes identified within the plan after 5 years. So there you have, ladies, there you have, ladies and gentlemen, the strategic plan. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, to capture in one strong document all the intent and aspirations of this coming together, allow me to read the manifesto. Secretary, please. Okay, a manifesto to secure green maritime Philippines, protect and conserve. We recognize the need of having a thriving marine and coastal ecosystem, resilient and environmentally sustainable waters around, between, and connecting the islands of the archipelago by providing long-term viable and feasible solutions by 2050. We adhere that the purpose of this manifesto is to unite efforts of the different sectors of the Philippine government and stakeholders on marine environment protection to build clear and definitive strategies within the framework of governance, security, and safety sustainable management of the Philippine waters. Our call to action: we have a collective opportunity and responsibility to protect and restore our territorial waters by advancing our marine conservation efforts through measurable policies and interventions that ensure a long-standing sustainability of marine ecosystems and species. We commit and pledge. In accepting this responsibility and seizing this opportunity, we can give a boost to the economy today while mitigating and building resilience for future maritime challenges. We respectfully urge the maritime stakeholders, shipping companies, shipbuilders, ship repair facilities, the academe, and the concerned government agencies to join us in this endeavor. Towards this end, we, the maritime stakeholders, and the government instrumentalities shall work hand in hand to develop and contribute to the nationwide solution for preventing related pollution and entering bodies of water through ports, shipyards, and ship-based activities. Provide a whole of government approach with a mechanism to identify specific outcomes and actions to achieve these outcomes in a way that is meaningful and measurable. Strengthen existing policy and regulatory frameworks by identifying opportunities to enhance these frameworks and introduce a new supporting measures to address the issues of marine and coastal pollution. And lastly, to mobilize a whole nation approach, cooperation in protecting, conserving, and managing the marine environment and natural resources for the present and future generations. So we say it's done, the City of Manila, this 10th day of September 2021. So there you have, ladies and gentlemen, our manifesto. And I turn you now over again to Miss Eva. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jinky Mendoza. Thank you so much to our moderators, and of course to our esteemed resource speakers for sharing with us and enlightening us on the present state and the strategies that we can do to really protect and conserve our marine environment. To immortalize this historic event as of this moment, we would like to request our guests and everyone participating in our virtual event to please turn on your cameras for a photo opportunity. Secretary, please take it away.
Eva.
Yes, Director Mon.
While waiting for our administrator, can I add a few words before we have our photo session? Yeah. So our next action after this drafting of the strategic plan for the marine environment protection, what we will do is to create an national task force probably under the ECRIMC, Interagency Coordinating Committee on the ratification and implementation of IMO conventions. And then further discuss this action plan. And then right after that, we will be including this in the marine environment programs and policies to our Maritime Industry Development Program, and subsequently submit to DOTR and DENR for approval. So that would take a while until 2022. So yan po yung next action natin for this. So back to you, Eba, for the photo session.
Thank you so much, Director Mon. May we have the secretary to please organize us for the photo session.
Everyone, please turn on your cameras. Okay. One, two, three. Smile. Another. One, two, three. Smile. Another photo. One, two, three. We're going to take 4 more screenshots so we can capture all of the participants. Another 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay, I believe everyone has captured na po. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Joanna. And finally, as we wrap up our very successful event, to acquaint us with the man of the hour, our honorable guest speaker, to give us an inspirational message, may we once again call on Marina Administrator Vice Admiral Robert A. Empedrad for the introduction.
Thank you very much, Eva. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct honor and privilege to introduce to you our guest of honor and speaker, no other than the Secretary of the Department of Transportation, Secretary Arthur P. Tugade. Palakpakan po natin ang ating guest of honor.
Warmest greetings to all the participants of today's Marine Environment Protection Forum. This gathering serves as part of our continued efforts to promote and implement global maritime protection initiatives, which we greatly need, notwithstanding the pressing challenges we face due to the COVID-19 pandemic. We are here to show yet another testament to our firm commitment to protect and conserve marine life and the environment amid our relentless pursuit to develop the country's maritime sector. Perhaps some people will ask what the Department of Transportation has to do with maritime environment protection. Our answer is simple. The Philippines, as an archipelagic nation, contains many important marine ecosystems. Thus, sustainability in the development of maritime transport is crucial for the country's growth and progress. It is for this reason that as we develop our nautical highways, build and maintain our ports, and push for the modernization of our maritime assets, we need to maintain a protected and sustainable maritime industry. To help reduce climate change, the DOTR, through the maritime sector, through the Philippine Ports Authority, PPA, is pursuing the use of renewable energy in all its controlled ports nationwide through what we call the Green Port Project. This is an initiative which is being recognized here and abroad, and for which the PPA has been awarded the Green Ports Award System by the Apex Port Service Network, a testament to the initiatives of the PPA towards environment protection through the reduction of carbon footprints in its port operations. The PPA has likewise banned the unnecessary use of single-use plastic products in all its facilities and has also ordered the mandatory planting of trees and mangroves for every accreditation, permit, and contract issued by the agency to the private sector. PPA requires the planting of 1,000 seedlings of trees or mangroves in coordination with the Department of Environment and Natural Resources. Lastly, the maritime sector through PPA has also partnered with the DENR for the fight against the illegal wildlife trade which persisted these days, notwithstanding the pandemic. For the impact of maritime transport to be more positive, we also need to establish and strengthen our participation and cooperation with every maritime stakeholders to achieve a healthy marine environment. To our partner agencies in government, esteemed guests, and the rest of the Filipino people, be assured that the Department of Transportation, together with the whole DOTR maritime sector, composed of the Philippine Ports Authority, the Maritime Industry Authority, and the Philippine Coast Guard, is one with you in having a unified goal in creating a cleaner and safer maritime space. Ladies and gentlemen, we are united to protect and preserve a green maritime sector as well as to enforce the marine environment strategy of the Philippines while guaranteeing an effective commercial and social connection throughout the archipelago. Sa inyo pong lahat, to all of you, mabuhay.
Once again, our Secretary, the Department of Transportation Secretary Arthur P. Tugade. Thank you so much, sir, for that very inspiring message. At this part of the program, we wish to extend our sincerest gratitude to our honorable guest speaker and to our panel of esteemed resource speakers through the awarding of the Certificate of Appreciation for their unrelenting efforts in providing us with various action plans and also in educating us on marine environment protection. First, a simple token of appreciation for our honorable guest speaker, DOTR Secretary Arthur P. Tugade. Let's give him a warm virtual applause. Also, allow me to read. This certificate of appreciation are presented to first Vice Admiral Narciso A. Vingson Jr., AFP retired, DOTR Assistant Secretary for Maritime, and Undersecretary Benny D. Antiporda, Department of Environment and Natural Resources, for their invaluable contribution as resource speakers during the Marine Environment Protection Forum conducted on 9 September 2021 via video conference. Given this 9th day of September 2021 in Manila, Philippines, signed Vice Admiral Robert A. M. Pedrad, Administrator, Maritime Industry Authority. Let us give our honorable guests and resource speakers for gracing our remarkable event for today a round of applause. This initiative will never be possible without your full support and collaboration. We hope that this is the beginning of our unending advocacy to keep our green maritime Philippines and truly save, protect, and conserve our marine environment. With that, on behalf of the Maritime Industry Authority, we wanted to thank everyone who actively participated in our very successful event as we all share our passion in conserving our Mother Nature. Once again, thank you everyone. God bless you all. Mabuhay ang Green Maritime Philippines.